Thank you for joining us today. I'm Erica Capolino from the marketing team here at Laerdal, and I'm thrilled to kick off today's conversation about transforming simulation center efficiency. We know simulation centers face real challenges: limited staffing, scheduling conflicts, manual documentation, and fragmented systems. SimCapture continues to evolve from a powerful video capture solution into a comprehensive cloud-based platform that now supports AI, learner assessment, inventory management, and much more. Because SimCapture is cloud hosted, we release updates every 2 weeks, including new features, bug fixes, enhancements, all with no downtime. Today, we're going to explore how SimCapture is helping simulation centers work smarter, not harder. We'll discuss how SimCapture can help enhance efficiency with AI-generated functionality, transform management processes using integrated tools at no additional cost, and optimize simulation outcomes with assessment and evaluation tools. Okay, so I'm going to let today's presenters introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tara Seawright. I am the Director of Product Management for our Laerdal Medical Washington, D.C. Software Development Office, and I'm in charge of development for our SimCapture platform. And Liz and I have been working together on SimCapture for 10 years now, over 10 years.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Really excited to talk to you today about everything that we've been working on recently.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tara. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Garcia. I am an impact manager for SimCapture currently in the United Kingdom. I did work in the US office for quite some time. As she said, we've been together for 10 years, but currently I'm based in the United Kingdom. So been around SimCapture a really long time, back clinical skills on premise. Now we're, fully into the cloud platform, loving all of the advancements that we're making, and just excited for what's around the corner.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about your wealth of experience and knowledge with the SimCapture platform. So let's talk about one of the most exciting areas in simulation management, AI. SimCapture is leveraging artificial intelligence to help simulation centers work smarter, automate routine tasks like checklist creation and transcriptions, and gain deeper insight into learner performance. It's opening up a lot of new possibilities. So let's dive into how this is changing day-to-day operations. Liz, what impact is AI having on SimCenter efficiency?
Here in the UK, we're really seeing the number of learners grow significantly. And unfortunately, the number of faculty count isn't really continuing to match. In some cases, we're seeing it be 300 learners to a single instructor. And so you can imagine any kind of administrative staff is really yearning for things like AI to help in their day-to-day processes, just to take some of the burden off of their shoulders. When you really think about that level of an imbalance, it's difficult for a sim center to be effective, let alone efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Tara, can you tell us a little bit about how and why AI-powered features were developed for SimCapture?
As the development team, we are super excited about artificial intelligence, and just like everyone else, we're also looking for ways to implement it into our day-to-day processes. So what we're really focused on as an organization is not just the power of AI and how we can use it in our day-to-day and make our lives easier, but also making sure that we're using it in a way that increases trust and reliability. As much as there's excitement about AI, we're also seeing a other side of it that is understanding that it's not infallible, that it can make mistakes. So ensuring that we're balancing the wonderful things that it can do and help us with ensuring that we are developing it and releasing it in a way that is responsible. So how we're approaching this is, first of all, making sure that what we're doing is useful. And as Liz mentioned, and you mentioned in the introduction, what we're hearing is that time is really everyone's most valuable resource right now. So everything that we can do to reduce administrative burden and increase time that our users can spend doing things that aren't data entry. No one wakes up in the morning and comes into work being really excited about putting things in a text editor that day. So we're looking for ways to improve that efficiency without sacrificing control. And that's a really important tenet for us. We want to make sure that the AI is taking the boring bit of work, but not the creativity, not the final say in what gets exposed to our students and any decisions that are being made. So we've been developing this strategy together with our corporate AI and data team to build out our SimCapture functionality in sort of what I'll call a pyramid model. So what we're focused on right now is building that foundation. And the foundation is really AI working as a head start or a second set of eyes, and the human or the educator or the administrator as the one who still has full control over what's happening and what's being seen. So there's complete visibility, complete transparency over what the AI is doing. And this strategy essentially does two things. First, it creates an immediate impact for our users to free up this time for busy work, so they can work on more strategic or hands-on activities. And AI is not going to be doing moulage anytime soon. But an example of kind of this busy work being done is using our Samaritan AI checklist builder head start. This was released a few weeks ago for the first time. We're really excited about it. And what's nice about this is, again, it doesn't take anything away from the end user. It works as a head start for users to be able to get their content into the system more quickly. And this can be done either from the AI taking, essentially, if you're starting from scratch, the AI can take your learning objectives and your summary of what you've written for your scenario and give you a head start for what a checklist might look like, things to take into consideration. And then once that's been created and you set up those settings, it is always going to take you directly to that checklist builder so that you can see everything that it's generated and make edits right in place. So it does the first pass for you, it creates a draft, but again, to reiterate, the human is always going to have the final say on what gets shown to students and what gets actually completed. The other method for this that we are just releasing now, which is very exciting, is a way, if you've already written your checklist, if you've already created content in a Word or a PDF document, you can just drop that in and it will analyze that document, pull out those checklist questions, and drop you in this same place. So we give you two different pathways. One, if you're starting from scratch and you want to have a draft to work with, or if you've already created your content somewhere else, we can put it into the system for you. And again, you still have full control. So if the AI makes a mistake, if it pulls something, one, you can see that and edit it. And two, we are also looking at understanding what those mistakes are made and ensuring that things keep getting better. And that brings us to the second real benefit and phase of our strategy here, building that foundation and learning to create more intelligent, pun intended, functionality in the future. So an example of this is our AI-powered transcriptions. So video is incredible. It's a great way of being able to see exactly what's happening in the room, watching what's being done, learning from what's being done, but it does require you to be able to hear. And we know that not every user of our system has the capacity or the practicality to be able to listen to that audio at any point in time. So we are now taking our video and we have the ability to run this through an AI transcription service, which are significantly, even in the last year, have gotten incredibly more powerful, even to the point that we can transcribe in many different languages, which is amazing. And we can use this as a way to not only increase accessibility, which is incredibly important, but also as a way to have a more portable version of what's occurred in that video. So whether it's backing up for storage reasons, or what we want to build on here is using this as a source for future iterations of learning from the video. So for example, you could have a question in a checklist that says, did the student ask this patient to identify themselves? in multiple different ways. The AI could watch a video and answer that question, but that's going to be significantly more intensive than skimming a transcript to answer that question. And not only for the AI, but also for humans to look and say, hey, did this actually happen? So from a double check second set of eyes standpoint, it makes that process much faster. And again, from that foundational standpoint, it allows us the capacity to be able to build up more functionality over time, but in a responsible way. A couple things I want to mention here in relation to this is that we are never using any customer data to train our models. All of your data absolutely remains in your control at all times. What we are doing, though, is learning from mistakes, learning when the AI doesn't do something the way that you would expect. So what we are looking at is analytics around how often is what the AI creates being edited or deleted or canceled. And that's what we're going to be looking at to say, okay, is this good enough to move to the next layer of the pyramid? Or do we need to do more work? So just because we aren't using data to train our models doesn't mean that we aren't learning. And that's why we're developing this in this phased approach.
It's really exciting to hear about all of the advancements that are coming along with AI. And it's exciting to kind of hear what's coming next. So while AI has been really grabbing all the headlines lately, SimCapture's foundational SimCenter management tools like inventory management, LMS integration, and SP coordination is really what keeps SimCenters running smoothly. From tackling equipment usage to simplifying scheduling, documentation, and coordination, SimCapture makes it easy to manage daily tasks. Tara, how has SimCapture helped simplify SimCenter management and address some of the challenges SimCenter staff are facing?
As we mentioned before, time is money, right? Time is our most valuable resource. So looking at it through that lens, and as I just talked about with some of the AI functionality that we've been really building out, the pieces of the software that we've been really looking to improve are the things that are, again, that busy work of taking the time away from educating, from being with students, from working on items that can further improve educational outcomes. So we've really been looking at different ways to do this. One way is through our LMS integration that we released last year, and we've been building on in the interim. We want people to be working where they feel most comfortable working. And so splitting out the center management capabilities of a sim program, like what rooms are being used, what inventory is being used, that's all very important. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But what we heard from many of our customers is that faculty in particular, when they're looking at releasing scores to students or wanting to see scores from multiple different programs or activities in one place, they felt most comfortable in their learning management system, in Blackboard or Moodle. So we wanted to respond to that need and do it in a way that was maintainable. So we used a standard called Learning Tools Interoperability, or LTI, which is supported by most higher education platforms, and many of which are listed here, to build out a way to not only pull student data in from an LMS, again, reducing duplicate efforts of having to upload lists of students, but also push scores and results back to that LMS. So again, SimCapture is a tool that serves the purpose of the simulation program, but it doesn't have to be the only place that information is exposed. So really building into an ecosystem approach and expanding our interoperability.
So Liz, anyone who manages SPs knows how challenging it can be juggling scheduling, tracking, performance, and keeping everything organized. How does SimCapture address these issues and simplify management?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Erica. Anyone who's an SP admin knows they're already having to train the SPs for the various scenarios that they need them to be a part of, but they also have to track and communicate with them. So one of the things that SimCapture does, and I think really well, is it gives you the option to label or tag users in the system as an SP. And once you do that, now we can utilize what we call an SP table, where you can easily add more SPs, edit the ones that are there in bulk. And the even bigger piece that goes along with it is, now that they are labeled as an SP, you get new fields that open up, demographic fields. So you can add in things like age, weight, ethnicity, and so on, and then drill down using those filters to really pinpoint the specific SPs that you're going to need for an upcoming event. And so it goes a step further in adding some convenience, because once you pinpoint those particular SPs, you have the option to then bulk message and bulk correspond with them. So within just a matter of a few steps, you can identify the SPs you need and then also correspond with them. It's a huge time saver for SP admins, and depending on, how involved you want to be with SP management, you can use it to even streamline your assignments. Once somebody exists as an SP, you can add them to scenarios, add them to existing sessions, and it's just all ultimately a streamlined process, which, again, we keep talking about lifting the administrative burden, making things, quicker, faster, work smarter, not harder. And this is a huge piece to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And managing standardized patients and OSCEs is arguably one of the most complex and resource-intensive parts of running a SIM program. So it's really fantastic to hear how SimCapture is streamlining and simplifying those activities. Another challenge facing many of our clients is inventory management. Inventory is a critical part of simulation operations. Liz, what are you hearing from your customers? What are the biggest challenges that sim centers are facing in managing inventory, and how is SimCapture helping them solve that?
So the biggest challenge that I hear is limited resource, which can come, as we've discussed, in different forms: time, space, but most often people. And so in most institutions, the staff that they have barely have time to run the simulation sessions that are necessary. They certainly don't have time to keep proper track of inventory. They just don't have the capacity for it. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the UK, we have the NHS, so the National Health Service, which is a publicly funded healthcare system, which, as you can imagine, a lot of times money is limited. And so a lot of these simulationists are wearing multiple hats. They're not just performing their duties in simulation. They have one or more additional roles. So again, time is limited. Inventory is not coming up on the top of their to-do list. I think we would all agree that the whole goal of simulation is to really immerse learners into that environment, to prepare them for the real world situations that they're going to encounter. But if you don't have the right pieces all involved at the right time for those events, you're already starting from behind. So, one of the things they have to consider is not only consumable inventory, but also capital inventory. If you've got crash carts and simulators and other task trainers, things of that nature, shared across departments, disciplines, organizations, you've got to be able to track and make sure everything's available at the time that you need it for your sim event. I think SimCapture does a really good job helping admins plan for this, because as a first major step, when you're building a scenario within SimCapture, you can associate the inventory that you anticipate needing with that scenario. If it's a consumable, you have the option to say how many of that item you're going to use. And you can decide that per session or per participant involved. So it's pretty flexible. And then on a second step, if you know you've got a really big event coming up, something that's super complex, going to involve a whole lot of people and different organizations, when you go to make the calendar reservation for that event, you can change the quantities. If you're anticipating needing more of a certain item than what you would typically need, you can make those adjustments. And then finally, you can go back after the fact. Once the simulation is done, the event is complete, you've captured everything you needed, but something got broken. Or maybe a few people who were expected to come didn't show up and your inventory counts are off. you can still adjust it at that point at the individual session level. So there's 3 different places we give you within SimCapture to go to make those adjustments and ensure that the inventory captured, the quantities remain accurate. But the inventory feature really shines when I think it gives you that option to set alerts, right? So we're always talking about being proactive, being ahead of the game, not just being reactive at the last minute when you realize you don't have something that you need. So when you're entering that inventory, you get the option to set a threshold. And if, let's say, when you get down to 10 of a certain item, you set that threshold, the email alert goes out to the admins involved and gives you that opportunity to order more, get more in before it negatively affects any upcoming simulations. So it's a really great tool. You can get into it in as much detail as you want. If you need to track manufacturer, cost, supplier, things of that nature, you have those options to track it in the system. If that's too much detail and you really just want to stick to quantity, and maybe even quantity by location, because you know certain locations will go through a certain item more quickly than another, then you can keep it as simple as that. But ultimately, it really is a big time saver and helps a lot of these folks who have to do multiple roles and don't have another clean way outside of an Excel spreadsheet to try and track inventory.
I feel like our last 15 minutes could basically be summarized as a war against spreadsheets. Right? That's really what
it's so true, though. It's so true.
SimCapture has really been focused on recently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to put it. And now we're actually going to hear from a SimCapture client that's leveraging this inventory management functionality in their program and the impact it's making on them.
The SimCapture inventory management system is a time saver in many ways. One is you don't have to go and count the inventory that's on the shelves in the Sim storage areas, or go in and out of the Sim suites and count those items. How many gloves are on the wall, how many simulators are in that room. The reporting system that I can export to an Excel spreadsheet can differentiate between capital budget items and consumable items. It also can help me tally cost, amount, par levels, and help me forecast. So not only the SimOps specialist, but the director of our nursing program, and help us take a look at what do we need to order, how much will that cost, when do we need to order, and expirations on some of those capital budget items. I had an aha moment with SimCapture inventory management system when I'm recording a session of simulation. I hit the edit button on the right side of the screen, and I'm able to put in, oh, they used this particular item. We're going to have to throw that in the trash because they actually put it on the standardized patient space. What am I talking about? Well, during one of our simulations, we use different oxygen delivery systems. So they go from the nasal cannula on the standardized patient to a non-rebreather mask. Both need to be thrown in the trash after that simulation, because we're not going to reuse that again in another human patient. And with that, right in that session, instead of making a note to myself on a pad and paper saying go back to that and add that to, or deduct that from our inventory, I'm able to put that right in the sidebar on the session, and it tallies that. And then later with my SimOps specialist, I took a look at the inventory, and it says you've used 2 oxygen delivery devices. One was the nasal cannula, and the other one was the non-rebreather mask. It already deducted that from our current inventory. I was surprised, I was elated, and then I said, look at that, you don't have to count anymore. The system and the reporting is working integrated, so that when I edit something in the session and I add to the usage, it deducts it from the inventory management that we already built. and populated. So I'm grateful for that. SimCapture Inventory Management System has maximized our efficiency as it relates to inventory management in our Sim Center. It has reduced the counting, the pad and pencil method, and it has elaborated on our Excel spreadsheets with its different details and structure and what it asks of the end user. So, like any initial start, it's a lot of time and effort to put accurate inventory of both capital budget items as well as your consumable items. But once that's done, the efficiency just exponentiates with each and every use. So now I can share with my SimOps specialist or SimTechs or your student workers in your program that as the session is running, if you see some consumable item being utilized, you can edit the session right there. That will synchronize with your inventory management system, and your reporting should be accurate. And then you could double check. And that will save time, effort, and allow for those budget items to come off on reports, and you can forecast when you need to order certain items and prepare for your next semester in your academic programs or hospital systems.
It's great to hear how SimCapture is making a real difference in our clients' daily operations and saving time and boosting efficiency. Now let's talk about the data that's available in SimCapture. Assessment is really at the heart of simulation-based education, but it's often one of the most time-consuming and fragmented processes. SimCapture is making it easier to evaluate learner performance and tracking progress over time, all in one platform. Tara, can you share a little bit about what assessment tools within SimCapture have proven most effective in helping educators evaluate learner performance?
Of course. Just like we've been talking about for a while here, the focus on being able to have better tracking, better efficiency, better accountability, centralizing your data in one place so that you're not working off of multiple disparate spreadsheets. That's really the core of the value of SimCapture. You can have your data wherever it is. The biggest question is, how is that data being put to work for you? And that comes not only from your center utilization data, but also, most importantly, in the actual outcomes of your learners. Are they learning what they need to be successful in practice? So we have a multitude of different reports here that our customers use, not only to determine how well a class or a cohort is doing, how well an individual student is doing, or how well their content is structured. And we could go on for hours about that, but I did want to highlight a couple specific reports here that are really useful to understanding the overall performance of your class and your students. So we have one report here that we're looking at, which it's one dashboard, but it is really multiple pieces of information that you're seeing here. But what this shows is for one course, so one group of activities being done within SimCapture, how are your students doing? How are they split by overall performance? So you see that circle on the top left, that graph tells you overall how are students doing, gives you some statistical information like standard deviation. We can dig into high, low, medians, all of that information that helps you understand the general curve of performance. But where this is really nice is over on the right, you see the breakdown of how students are doing on individual scenarios as well. So you have the big picture, but you can always drill down into, okay, well, it seems like the students are in this example doing really, really well in that Marvin Hayes scenario that they did, but really struggled with Alexis Anderson. So that may be a place to dive deeper and look into what happened. Is the data accurate? Is it what you're expecting? Are students missing? So again, the idea here is to surface those insights for you to be able to make that determination yourself, but we always show everything. We show our work. We allow you to dig in to where these numbers are coming from so that you understand exactly what you're being shown. So this is an example of an overall class, and underneath you can see a breakdown of each individual participant and what their score was. And let's say that you wanted to deep dive into one individual student or learner and how well they were performing. If you were to click into that, what you would see is a breakdown of this student's performance across the entire course. So all of the activities that they've performed in. And what is amazing about this particular report is it breaks down their performance not just by their overall score on any evaluations that may have been completed, but also by competency. And that is where this is really, really huge, is as you're developing those checklists that we went over earlier, and our AI feature will also help you with assigning your checklist items to competencies if you have them set. But you can look through and not only look at how well a student did, but are they struggling across the board in a particular competency? A student maybe have wonderful bedside manner and communication skills and show a great deal of empathy, but really be struggling with a physical psychomotor skill, or vice versa, right? And one number doesn't really give you that full picture of how a student is really progressing. So in looking at competency-based education, mastery-based learning, being able to show a student's progress over time, we don't want to just look at one grade. We want to look at the whole picture, and the ability to tag things to these competencies really supports that goal.
Yeah, there is a wealth of information that you can be pulled out of SimCapture. And now we're actually going to hear from a SimCapture client about how they're leveraging data in their program.
So having all learners send them data centralized in SimCapture has been very transformative for tracking progress and advocating for resources. It's provided a single centralized hub for all simulation related activities, which streamlines both access and reporting. Prior to this, we were using our learning management system, and I was having to be placed in everybody's courses, and that created a lot of disconnects where I didn't know if I was updating everywhere where I needed to be updating. So having everything centralized has been hugely important with my role. With having that all captured in SimCapture, we can track progress with assessment data in that one place, more effectively monitoring learner performance over time, identifying trends and pinpoint areas where students need additional support. And this has strengthened our ability to align with course objectives as well as our accreditation standards. I have been able to utilize a lot of the reports that I've been pulling to help with identifying even curriculum gaps, like SBAR communication, some of the soft skills, and having ways to help our students be even more successful at the bedside. The calendar feature also has improved scheduling transparency. It allows our faculty and staff to easily view upcoming sessions and know where we have availability and where we may be overly impacted by simulations. And this really has helped foster collaboration and ensure our simulation space is being maximized. And also having SimCapture, we have now a designated place to store all our course materials, scenario designs, and everything's located in one spot where our faculty can go in, they can see which scenarios are being run, what's the pre-work prior to the scenario, what's the post-work prior to the scenario. They can go in and actually grade. And hopefully soon that will be coming over to where it can connect with our LMS system. So we're working on some of those things as well. So that's just streamlining everything to keep our workload manageable. So before we had paper pencil, we were also using a survey platform as well. So I had data in, and then we were using our LMS system. So we had data all over the place. And I didn't have time to effectively sit down and analyze that data, put it in Excel spreadsheets and really analyze that data. Now with SimCapture, I've been able to put all of those evaluations into SimCapture where I can easily click on those with a few clicks and get reports that are meaningful, as well as being able to complete some of those evaluations in real time as students are doing scenarios. I can complete their student evaluations as I'm watching them in the sim room and immediately following debrief. I've also been able to put those evaluation forms so then the student observers that are watching my students in the sim can actually evaluate their colleagues during the simulation, which has been very beneficial and given a lot of great feedback. It has helped elevate our debriefing because I can pull up those reports in just a few short clicks and highlight both successes and opportunities for improvement, which really makes that debriefing more concrete and learner focused. And then we are able to even map some of those things to our inter-program student learning outcomes. So when we look at accreditation for our program and being able to state how our students meeting those inter-program student learning outcomes, now I have some wonderful reports that are showing what areas that we need to improve on and what areas our students are doing well on. The reports have really been just transformative in providing real-time data-driven feedback that benefits both faculty and students while making the evaluation process more sustainable and impactful.
SimCapture is proving to be a game changer for programs looking to streamline evaluations and unlock the power of centralized data. So now let's talk a little bit about mobile recording needs. Whether it's in a hallway, an ambulance, or a remote site, SimCapture's mobile camera feature gives teams the flexibility to capture and assess training in real time. In situ simulation is becoming more common, and with that comes the need for flexible, reliable video capture. SimCapture gives teams the freedom to capture and assess training anywhere, anytime. So Liz, maybe you can tell us a little bit how programs are moving beyond the lab and into real-world environments. How are customers using SimCapture mobile camera feature to support in-situ training, and what kind of impact is that having?
Yeah, absolutely. Mobile camera is a huge advantage when customers want to capture things like transport cases or ambulance activity, or even that point where they're entering the hospital. And you just can't have physical cameras set up in that particular setting. It's really giving learners new insight to be able to watch themselves and learn in that high intense moment where all that activity is happening. There's a lot of communication going on, and it's a critical moment for the patient at hand. They can actually step back now and watch and really improve what's happening where they couldn't before. And so that's a really good example of trying to utilize mobile camera outside of the institution, kind of in those real world events where physical cameras are challenging. However, I will say here in the United Kingdom, in general, there's a lot of institutions that just don't have reliable, consistent internet connection inside of their actual facilities. So we're seeing mobile camera actually used, especially the new offline mode, in those capacities where they don't have that consistent connectivity. And so it's really opening it up for them to be able to record in any space that might become available. I think it's pretty common, even all across Europe. Dedicated sim space is just not something that's always physically available. And so having the option to still provide those quality simulations using the scenario standardization structure that SimCapture gives you to, enact those activities, it really opens up the doors to a lot of people. And so we've really liked to see where the internet connection exists, that ability to pull in the multiple camera feeds and potentially even the patient monitor as well. But if it doesn't, we can still fall back on the offline mode to be able to capture whatever is needed at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. We have heard a lot of great feedback about that offline recording. Have you heard of any creative ways customers are using mobile camera functionality?
I have, and here in England as well as in Scotland, it's really being utilized a lot inside ambulances. And I'm not talking about the ambulance that's parked out in front of the hospital that's set aside for simulation. I'm talking moving, active ambulances. And so that's really exciting. It's been exciting for our team to be involved in that, just even from a demo perspective and seeing how our, product outperforms a Microsoft Teams viewer and things of that nature. But another piece that's starting to be looked at is knife wounds. You tend to have more crimes committed with knives. And so the sense of urgency when you have a stabbing and thinking about capturing something on a street corner through potentially the London Tube, now you're in a helicopter or an ambulance, and then again at that point of entry to the hospital, it becomes key. And they can use a combination of offline recording as well as the normal mobile camera option to really make sure they get the full event. And what's really interesting to me is knowing that what a lot of times they're looking for first and foremost is communication amongst their own team as well as across teams during all those handoff points. And so they know, we know that the quicker and more accurate that communication is, the more lives that get saved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always love to hear these creative new scenarios that customers come up with to put our solutions to the test and really take it to the next level.
Yeah, the fact that you're using just your own mobile device, a standard phone, really does open up significant doors for all of the mounts and accessories that exist on the market. I've seen a customer attach a phone to a drone, and
It's a good example. I hadn't
take
actually
someone
thought of
down
that
with
one.
the mobile
I'm
camera.
seeing more of the bending tripods that everybody
Yep.
latches to doors and booms and
Exactly.
people are getting creative.
Gimbals for stability. So it really is exciting to see what folks can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're actually going to hear from a client utilizing SimCapture to enhance their mobile simulation experiences.
It's really been a game changer for us because we have some limited cameras that are pre-built in our sim lab. It's been a huge win for us. It's allowed us to expand our sim center capabilities. We have an existing sim center that has some fixed cameras, but this allows us to get some views that we weren't able to get with our existing fixed cameras. And it allows us to expand our capabilities beyond the lab. We do a lot of pre-hospital education, pre-hospital healthcare, and by using the SimCapture mobile recording, we can take the students out of the lab, put them into real-life situations, capture how they're interacting, so they get the feel of being in that environment. We've done simulations in storage rooms. We're planning to use it in an office environment. And again, it gives those students the ability to see what it's like working in an environment and allows us to add realism. We've tried a number of different recording solutions over the year to capture things that are outside our physical sim lab. This has been by far the most successful. Our faculty find it very easy to use. We love being able to capture the students and working with them with video debriefing. So I think just adding mobile record just adds another layer for us to do that with the students.
Since Ed shared his experience with SimCapture mobile camera, his program has gone on to record over 400 sessions using the app. So that's just amazing to hear. So we're just about at the end of our time. So let's get your final thoughts. Liz and Tara, what developments or enhancements to SimCapture are you most excited about? And how do you think that these will further improve efficiency?
Well, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to say that I am most excited about the AI feature of potentially scoring simulations. I know Tara alluded to this earlier, and of course, as Laerdal, we want to make sure that whatever we put out into the world is something that we're proud of, that we trust, that we have done all of the development and research necessary so that we feel good about the reasoning behind the scoring choices that our AI Samaritan tool is choosing. But I think if and when we get to that point, it will be a game changer because our whole goal is lifting that administrative burden. And we've already got the checklist that can be uploaded. You're not having to look at that blank page and wonder, well, how am I going to come up with all these questions and scoring and everything? But now if we can have them actually assist with the scoring itself, it's going to be a huge game changer, as I said.
Stay tuned, Liz.
Yeah.
It's an excellent teaser to future webinar topics. But I just echo what you're saying. The sheer speed at which technology and industry is moving is just thrilling right now. So understanding and staying on top of what's possible, because what's possible is changing every single day, right? And not even what's possible, what's easy. Things that were unthinkable even 6 months ago are now something that is not only possible, but pragmatic. So really latching on to that tide. And again, as long as we're doing it in a way that is actively helpful, actively safe, responsible, but understanding that we can build something and it can be in our users' hands within a matter of weeks where it could have previously taken us months. That is really exciting to me. So as we build out not just individual pieces of the software, but also understanding how things can work together, because that's also easier than ever. And that value of centralization. So I'm really excited about the next year, the next 2 years. And I can't wait to see what we do next.
Absolutely. And I think it's clear that SimCapture is more than just a video platform. It's really a strategic tool for simulation centers to run their centers effectively. From AI to mobile capture, inventory to assessment, SimCapture is constantly evolving to meet our customers' needs. And we're really excited about what's next, including deeper dive into analytics, expanding integrations, and more tools to support your learners. So I want to thank everybody again for joining us today. You will be receiving an email with a link of this webinar for on-demand viewing. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your local Laerdal team. And if you're interested in learning more about SimCapture, you can scan the QR code, or you can visit laerdal.com/SimCapture. Thanks.